amazing. And Joey down there is the prime example of perseverance and being able to overcome those challenges. Um, it's a great program. So if you get a chance, or I'll send you some links.
Yeah,
When I hurt my
please
shoulder,
do.
this is where it touched me personally. Is aside from my past experience, I was married to a Marine, but watching Joey compete in jujitsu was just amazing for me.
Yeah.
When I hurt my shoulder, it was keep in mind temporary injury, right, to my shoulder,
Yeah.
and I was taking time off of jujitsu, and then I, happened to scroll by something, online, probably social media videos, and it reminded me of Joey. It reminded me of We Defy Foundation, and I thought, man, how silly it is, for me to sit here frustrated with my shoulder injury when I have full functioning limbs.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a man who proves you don't need four functioning limbs to do what he does.
Yeah, that's awesome.
If you can do what he does with one, and I'm sitting here with, three good limbs, why am I complaining, right?
Yeah.
So I ended up doing a quick little fundraiser, and I'm going to roll with this one arm tied in my belt, just tucked it in my belt, and I continued to train. And every time somebody made me tap, I put $1 in the jar. And if I was able to make somebody else tap, I told them they had to put $1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we did a quick little
least.
fundraiser.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 6 weeks or something like that.
That's
and
cool.
was able to do a little donation. But it motivated me. It helped me really just kind of realize that, I'm sitting here complaining about nothing. And there's absolutely great programs out there. Geese for GI's Foundation, a good buddy and friend of Origin, Brian Crandell, he does a program specific also to military first responders, where he will donate a gi to them.
Yeah.
He sends them an Origin gi, and just to encourage them to do.
So I would love to talk to you after this podcast about doing something like with our nonprofit and stuff like that, and just to see if there's anything we could help out with or anything like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I hope I keep in touch.
Yeah. Well,
I have a lot of ideas, so absolutely we can brainstorm all the different ideas and
that'd be cool.
Fundraising ideas.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would love to get you into training. Find a good academy that's close to you.
And that would be awesome.
Yeah, and then we always have our Origin camp, so you can come up this way and beat me up.
Yeah.
That's right, man.
So I want to talk about Origin a little bit before we say goodbye to you. So I want to first off thank Origin for their donations,
right? With the 5K,
and say how much that meant to people, or to like people that were thinking about getting it, like the paying for the 5K. Like that was a really huge thing to have those items donated by Origin.
Oh, of course, we're happy to support. Like I said, I love anytime I see something that is a charity related, event. It ties right in, just knowing about your story, all of the messaging that you have with your organization and how you're able to inspire people. It was a natural fit. So I was really excited when we connected. Happy to see that helped.
Yeah,
and
it did a lot.
I got something out of it too. I learned a lot, and
there you go.
about myself and training. I was actually pleasantly surprised to open up the package, and I was like, "Oh, he even included some of the Origin stuff for me."
Yeah.
Oh,
I got a full
he
kit.
sent it out to everybody. It was great.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Do
I
you,
still get excited when I see Origin packages.
Oh yeah. Me too.
So I want to try and understand, like, Origin started with gis, right?
Yes.
So how are the gis different? Like they're manufactured in the US, am I right?
Yes.
Yes. And that was a big thing, and I like that. But how are they different than you'd say like your standard gi? Because you were saying something about the drawstring. So what's the difference about the pants, the Origin pants?
Yeah, everything from the very fiber
Mm-hmm.
all the way to the finished product is different.
Okay.
So a lot of the gis, for hundreds of years had just been made out of cotton,
Mm-hmm.
which gets, we all know the difference between like wearing a regular t-shirt and training and
Mm-hmm.
getting that t-shirt heavy and sweaty, right?
Yeah.
Or wearing
Right.
something like a rash guard, more of a performance textile. So,
Mm.
Today's origin gis have a terry blend. It's a special blend. Pete paid attention to even how the fiber is twisted
Oh yeah.
for the
Okay.
maximum benefit in that textile. We
Mm-hmm.
weave it right there in the factory. So,
And
our
you
cotton
do
comes from
like
Tennessee and other fields in the U.S. It gets spun into the yarn and we weave it. Everything happens right there in the factory.
and you do weaving patterns that no one does, right?
Yeah, so there's a standard pearl weave that is a traditional weave that is used in jiu-jitsu in the gis.
Okay.
And then we also have our own dragon weave, which is a
Okay.
really cool kind of diamond pattern.
Hmm.
It's something that really distinguished, origin gis on the mats. You could walk around and see and recognize an
Pick them
origin
out
gi.
just by the weave, yeah.
Exactly. And same thing on the mats. Like if you're just looking across the room and maybe you can't see the detail of the weave and you look at the pants, you can tell.
Mm-hmm.
Origin Pro pants, the way they fit is based on your waist and inseam measurements. So it's like a custom tailored
Mm-hmm.
pair of pants.
Tailored pair of gi pants, yeah.
That's cool. Are they
Right.
less stiff? Like, because I've seen some gis where the material just seem, I don't know. I've never actually done any jiu-jitsu other than like I did a lot of street fighting, but I had no technique. I would just brawl and just elbows and whatever. You just did whatever, but until the person tapped out. But technique would have been nice back then. But in terms of like wearing pants and like an official uniform, I've seen a lot of them that they look pretty stiff. Am I right? And origins are like, what's the purpose of a different weave?
Yeah, so the purpose of the different textile altogether and including the weave and then all the way through to how they're cut and finished is all about the performance that you want for martial arts and for grappling specifically.
Okay.
So when you break it down, you're looking at the moisture wicking properties of the textile. You're looking at reducing friction. You're looking at reducing any excess material for somebody to grab onto. Right? Somebody can grab onto you and control you with that. You want to reduce the amount of excess material. And you have to have that freedom of motion. So where he really, I think, completely hit a whole new level, raised the bar. We call it the rift. And it really did create a rift in the industry because for all this time, gis had been manufactured, and specifically the jackets. He innovated the pants years ago by making it more of a custom fit and a tailored leg. But with the jacket, that was what was done with the rift. And if you imagine a flat piece of paper, and if you're trying to form that around a ball, you're just crumpling up the paper. You have all these folds, excess material, and everything, right? The traditional gi was looking at a flat piece of fabric that comes off of the loom, and then how quickly and efficiently can we, basically cut a head hole, armholes get stitched, and it stitches down, the arm and the torso. And that's how gis were made. There's a flat back piece and a flat front piece.
Right.
With the rift, it's a 7-panel construction that reminds me more of a baseball or a basketball, where you have the different panels of curved fabric. So if you see a rift, even from afar across the room, you can tell it's a rift because there's a spine, and then there's panels that come from the back, kind of around your shoulders and your lats that they spiral wrap to the front. And the result is you end up with a jacket that, if you've ever worn anything and had a belt on the outside, like we do in jiu-jitsu, you tie your belt on the outside of the wrapped jacket. You raise your arms, and then you put them down again. It's tight, it's going to move and shift, and it's going to pucker.
Yeah.
That used to be the style back in the day. I don't know,
that annoys me,
turn
even
42,
thinking about
but yeah, that style of like, tuck in the shirt and then raise your arms and pucker, and it untucks.
Yeah.
that's what you don't want that in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
And the
Yeah.
result of this gi is that you can actually move your arms freely of your torso,
That's
even
awesome.
with
Yeah.
that belt. And so,
I want to wear one
it,
just to wear one.
Yeah.
well, we should get you training. We'll
Yeah.
find
Yeah,
find
yeah.
academies near you guys.
Yeah.
There are. I have a friend that that does jiu-jitsu up in Salt Lake, which is like about 45 minutes away from where we're at. Maybe about 50 minutes. But I just have never really gotten into it. Yeah. Anyways.
We'll get you into it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
When you try on the gi, you're gonna want to go try.
Yeah, that's right. See, that's what, even just thinking about it,
Yeah.
like, oh, that'd be fun. Now I gotta like fight somebody.
Now we've been, I guess, a lot more national recognition and everything in recent years. But when I first started traveling and training with Origin, I would go to an event, and especially on the West Coast, I was at an event, I want to say 3 years ago. It was a charity event. A buddy of mine was running it. Showed up at the academy, and I start training, and it's just an open mat, casual. Half the people are lined up against the wall, chit-chatting, catching up with friends. Other people are already training. And I went out there and started rolling with this lady, and I hear from across the room somebody go, "Is that an Origin gi?"
Awesome. That's awesome.
And because in certain parts of the country, they just,
That's
you know,
awesome.
it's not something that we've gotten into every single academy,
Yeah.
at least back then. You know, we're a lot more prevalent now in all the jiu-jitsu academies for sure. But back then it was, you know, in that area, and this was in the Bay Area, this one academy, I guess they had only ever seen a couple of Origin gis. Some of these people had traveled in from out of town to come to this event, so I'm not sure where they were coming from. But I heard this conversation happening. Is that Origin gi? Yeah, that's an Origin gi. And then next thing you know, I hear somebody else who I did recognize a voice. It was one of my wholesalers. He runs a fight shop, you know, kind of MMA, you know, warehouse, if you will, in Northern California. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I think that's Nicole." And he knew I was coming to the event. We were planning on meeting. And next thing you know, it was in one of the break sessions in between instruction. I had at least 3 or 4 women who had come up to me and they wanted to try on my pants.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I was passing around my pants for all these women to try.
That's cool.
And everybody wanted to, you know, see and touch and feel the Origin gi.
Yeah.
It was like I was a unicorn, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
This mythical creature that showed up.
Yeah. And you
Wow.
really can feel a difference. You know,
Sure.
I'm not just saying that because I go into all these different academies and I see the reaction on people's faces when they first try an Origin gi.
And plus, it's made in America, which is huge. Like we said,
That is huge.
at the first, but just the fact that it's made in America, like, shows so much progress, like in America.
And the commitment that you guys have to continue that, I think it's great. I mean, knowing that everything is made in a way that doesn't, I mean, I don't want to say slave labor, you know, but there's a lot of places you have no clue where things are being made and who's
and
making
the
them
quality.
in sweatshops. And so
and we hear all the stories. I mean, it's something that really, when we do hear it, I mean, and honestly, we don't pay a whole lot of attention to what's going on elsewhere as far as what other companies are doing.
Yeah.
But we do hear on occasion, you know, the feedback, and people will call in and say, "Hey, I didn't know this or that, or did you guys know that, you know, this is happening?" And, you know, obviously there are parts of the world that do not have the same kind of labor laws. They don't have the same type of appreciation or recognition for, you know, somebody's design might get resold, you know, things like that actually are in part of Origin's history, and part of the reason why Pete decided to do all of them. But it's the kind of thing that really just strengthens our mission. It's something that we appreciate all of the support, the investment, loyal following.
Yeah.
And it's that recognition that we give right back to orders and our customers for all these years that has helped us grow. We've reached exponential growth because of, and the people who are caring to look at the label, to understand the difference, and to appreciate the quality and the different products.
Yeah, that's awesome.
we're getting calls all the time, calls from new academies or existing. Not only do we want to need here, we want to